of motions right now to try to escalate, but a lot of other information is being called out right now. So it's kind of weird. You can kind of read things both good and bad. Is this put in place to help keep the peace, what they call mutually assured destruction? Or is this doomsday device, this apocalypse device, is it the deep state's last attempt to try to do something? I don't believe they have access to an entire submarine full of nuclear missiles. We've got a story talking about what's going on here. Also got some very interesting UN information about Israel, maybe getting rid of their nukes. Like, what the heck? Got some crazy stuff going on. Now, forwarded from Code Red, I feel like this was, of all the stuff I saw, linking the newest Q post to, this one actually did pretty good, I thought. 4959, the post we read before, with two key parts in there. What did Pop threaten to withhold from Ukraine? Now, withhold is misspelled. What did Pop threaten to withhold from Ukraine? And then down here, question mark, blackmail. And they found an original Q post, 3355. What happens when those who held positions of power and influence no longer pull the strings? What happens when blackmail no longer works? Do you become a liability? And this is where the H, brackets in bold, leads to C, D, and I. Clinton, maybe, who's D, I don't know. These people are probably initials we could hope, but who knows? Who knows? So a lot of interesting things seem to be shown to us right now. Now, we definitely know CNN is deep state. Sorry, another way to say that. Communist News Network, same thing. We'll worry about that later. Kathy Griffin suspended from Twitter after impersonating Elon Musk. When I first read this, I was like, huh? Because I'm not on Twitter all the time. So some of you guys are probably like, yeah, totally, dude. What are you, an idiot? Yeah, I guess. You didn't have to be so mean about it. But Kathy Griffin, comedian. So funny. Yeah, so we're all yucking it up right now about her. Now, she posted something interesting. Kathy Griffin effed around and quite promptly found out what happens. So what she put out, let's see if this still opens up. Should. Cool. So, hey, complainers and activists, want to see real activism? Watch this. Based off of misinformation. You see, a lot of people don't pay attention to the fact that it's Elon Musk. They don't even notice the at person. Now, again, if you're somebody that's using an alias in your life, right? Like, you've got at so-and-so and it's been that forever, and then you're calling yourself, Jambalaya Masta, something, whatever, then that's different. And there's even a post that I might end up finding that shares exactly that. But Kathy Griffin permanently suspended from Twitter. The one that chopped Trump's head off. You guys remember that one? Yeah, same one. She wasn't funny then either. I remember her back in the day. It was a shame. Kind of liked her. Kind of. But whatever. She's gone to the nutty side. Now, she's not the only one. Verified leftist journalist impersonates others on Twitter, gets permanently suspended. This guy, Daniel Moritz Rabson, he is with The Intercept or whatever. His account's been permanently suspended because of tweets. I think he was pretending to be Andy Ngo. Andy Ngo, hope I'm saying that right, whatever. So again, another one of those things where, well, you're not allowed to impersonate other people. But they took away their megaphone. And we're going to find out a lot of very interesting stuff. Whether the platform survives, we'll see. We'll see. Another individual here, this is the guy, Shibetoshi Nakamoto. And his name is at Stonks Reddit. He goes, so, if I can't use a pseudonym, I won't bother with it. And Elon Musk's like, no problem to use a pseudonym. The high-level principle is just that verified users can't engage in malicious deception, period. And that's what it is. It's blue check marks taking advantage of the system, pretending to be a verified individual when they're changing their name. So a lot of interesting people are pissed. Twitter employees demanded bribes for account verification, users allege. We found out there's 3 different options here. Chairman, Twitter employees were selling verifications for upwards of $15,000 for certain accounts, mine included. They would refuse to verify you through the standard application and then privately offer you to verify you for money behind the scenes. Elon Musk's like, yep. Down here, Brendley Dilly. I can confirm this. I was offered verification in June 2015 as I was author and speaker. The price I was told was $13,000. Obviously, I couldn't afford it and continued on. Elon bought a crime scene, and now people are finding out just how bad it is. Ashley Rinberg, I experienced the same thing, around 14,000 payable on Ethereum. So this is not the first one. And then you've got your people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez that's freaking out about $8 a month. Some of these guys had to pay thousands. That's probably why they're a little pissed off. They're like, I already paid a ridiculous amount of money. I'm not paying anymore. And he's like, yeah, you are. Sorry. Again, people are pissed off. Twitter will not censor accurate information about anything, is what we're hearing from Musk. Some tough language may come from that, from both sides. That's kind of how these discussions can go. Sometimes you get pissed, you got to step away from each other and then come back and try again. Ultimately, you've got to work it out, right? There's always places where we share common ground versus all the places we disagree, and it's all on what you focus on. Now, Biden, he's upset. These Twitter censorship rules will no longer benefit him, will they? No, they will not. No, they will not. I thought I highlighted something here. I guess I didn't. So Politico's reporting that Biden said Twitter is an outfit that spews lies all across the world. This is coming from the guy that does nothing but lie. I mean, mostly, right? Pretty high amount of things that comes out of his face are absolute, blatant, total lies. So yeah, he's a little pissed off that they've been doing a little fact checking, a little adding some content, a little bit of understanding to the crazy thing he just said. And of course, yeah, he's not happy about it. Now, Shannon Raj-Sine said, yesterday was my last day at Twitter. The entire human rights team has been cut from the company. I am enormously proud of the work we did to implement the UN guiding principles on business and human rights to protect those at risk in global conflicts and crisis, including Ethiopia. And then Raheem J. Kassam's like, effing hell, Twitter had a human rights team, mate. I'm sorry, it's totally Australian. He goes, effing hell, Twitter had a human rights team that implemented the goals of the United Nations. They were blatantly using this website to destroy America. Yeah, seems like it. Seems like it. Thanks, Shannon, for letting us know what was actually going on. And probably some of the best dreams you'll remember. Yes, try that on for size, Yoda would say. Meta is going to lay off thousands of employees starting this work week. This was basically just a story to point out the fact that, remember all those people that were like, I'm going to leave Twitter and I'm going to go work for Meta and Google. Well, you're not going to work for Meta. I'm just letting you know. You're not going to work at Twitter and you're not going to work at Meta. There's probably a whole lot of other jobs and companies there. I wish you well. I wish you luck because I know it's very expensive to live up there and survive. So I do wish all these people well. I think they've got bad attitudes, and that might make it hard to make them employable. I hope they learn. We'll see. But yeah, Meta's laying off a bunch of people too. Now here's the infamous warning. I don't know. Shot heard around the world. Not quite. I don't know. And I can see this going two ways. If the deep state's doing this, which I don't think they are, then this is like, ooh, we're going to put a whole bunch of nuclear missiles, tridents, right in your backyard. Because they're parking this thing in the Black Sea. Now, the Black Sea is a really interesting part of the world. There's a lot of stuff really close to the Black Sea. All the places that, well, deep state are in too. We got Iran right over here. We got Russia right over here. We got, all of Europe, right? Italy, Greece, right? Turkey's down here. Again, everything. So they put a whole bunch of these missiles in this one, what they call the Apocalypse submarine. And it's almost in the Black Sea. In fact, they're saying it might even be there already. So is this thing bringing the peace? Probably. But if not, it's there to escalate. Now, again, I do not believe the deep state has access to an entire submarine full of nuclear missiles. I don't. So I think this is a deterrent. Now, it could be seen either way. It's hard to say. We don't know for sure. But one thing I will say is if the good guys did this, well, the deep state still creates a lot of the news. So the news that would come out regarding this would be from their slant, which is what this has that spin on it. Give Kremlin a warning, right? Like we're warning Russia. No, we're not. U.S. nuclear apocalypse submarine enters the Mediterranean Sea like fear, 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 right? So that's how I know this is a deep state article. That's why I assume anyways. I should say I don't know. That's why I assume. So we'll see. We'll see how things play out. Interesting is definitely the easy way to say it. Kiev gets new missile system. Defense minister is telling us some U.S., Norwegian, and Italian launchers going to significantly strengthen the Ukrainian army, they say. A bunch of Western-produced stuff. Now, one thing that jumped out at me as a problem, I don't know. One, I mean, there's lacking people. They've had a really tough time. Two, they pretty much have no power right now, like no electricity. So I don't know what you're going to plug these things into. They probably come with generators, maybe, very possibly. But I can guarantee the radar systems and stuff probably require a large amount of power, in which case it's got to be diesel. So I hope they got plenty of fuel. I'm sure that's where all of our diesel's gone, is Ukraine. But supposedly, yes, they've got some short to mid-range air defense missiles here that are being put in place. So they're trying to make it harder on Russia. Yeah. Finland's clarifying their stance. They just got recently brought into NATO, and they are saying, "Hey, look, here's the deal. We're not going to put any atomic weapons on our land. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. We don't want to play that game. We don't want to be a first strike target, essentially." So again, the deep state's trying to do a lot of pressure, trying to get nukes right next to Russia, which Russia will not be happy about. They are trying to figure out how to create a Cuban Missile Crisis where someone hopefully accidentally uses a missile. I don't think we're going to be allowed to, but they're trying. Now, Benjamin Fulford put out his new article, and oddly on stillnessinthestorm.com, it looks like they put the whole article. Normally they just put like the first half. I think it's completely out, so you guys want to check out stillnessinthestorm.com. I think he's been having a hard time on this site. I feel bad. Justin's a good guy. I met him at the Clay Clark thing. Russia knew it. Russia knew it. UN has passed a resolution. Literally, the UN passed. This is not going to go over well. This is not going to happen. This will be a big, big step towards the UN collapsing. And this is the one huge, giant step. And it's funny now that Netanyahu's in power, here's where we are. So, again, that whole idea of the world's armies surrounding Israel, that needs to be getting brought up on the front burner, it looks like. Because it sounds like that's getting close. UN passes resolution pushing Israel to dispose of its nuclear weapons for sake of peace and security. Is there one of you halfway awoken people out there that thinks for a second that if you gave up your guns, gave up your nuclear weapons, gave up whatever, your sovereignty, that they're going to respect and take care of you? No. No, they won't. We know that for fact. So, of course, Israel's going to be like, suck it. Ain't no way we're doing that. In whatever way they would do that. They probably wouldn't say suck it. It'd be funny as hell if they did. Netanyahu's like, suck it. That would be hilarious. But it's not probably going to happen. So, yeah, UN's asking, they've already passed the resolution, mind you. Perfect storm for effing disaster. The New York PD quit force over low pay. They're forced overtime and low morale. These guys are pissed. A bunch of people are leaving. And it's interesting. I mean, this is only going to make Hochul look worse, that's for sure. And they said in there, it's, quote, "It's one thing to have a recruitment problem, and it's one thing to have a retention problem," said officer identified as John. "When you have both, it's just a perfect storm for effing disaster. Nobody wants to work. People are retiring even before they're able to retire. They want the hell off the streets. They don't want anything to do with the police force." Yeah, this is, hey, all you New Yorkers that are like, yeah, screw the cop, you're the ones that are going to have problems when people start assaulting you on the streets. It's not a good idea. And I know a lot of you guys are like, I don't want this. Well, you got to speak up, but someone might get mad at me. Well, it's like either they're going to get mad at you now or you're going to get beat up on the subway and they're mad at you then. I mean, what's the difference? Again, we're as prepared as we can be, right? And that's where we're at going into this tomorrow. So are you ready for the coming U.S. government default? There was a part down here that I thought was very interesting. Supposedly the government's defaulted, not technically, but, well, depends how you define it, but technically they have defaulted, but the way they would say it is, no, we've never defaulted. So the popular American myth is that the U.S. government has never defaulted on its debt. Quite frankly, that's an unadulterated lie. The U.S. government has unofficially defaulted on its debt twice within the last 100 years. Executive Order 6102 of 1933, Cliff High talks about this often, which forced all American citizens to turn in gold coins and bars, was, in fact, a default. Gold ownership in the United States, with some small limitations, was illegal for the next 40 years. Under EO 6102, Americans were compensated $20.67 per troy ounce of gold. They were paid with paper dollars. Immediately following the government's gold confiscation, the price of gold was raised by the Gold Reserve Act of 1934 to $35 an ounce. And just like that, American citizens were robbed of over 40% of their wealth. Literally, overnight, they raised the price of something you can't buy and you can't own. And you just got paid crap money for it. The second default occurred in 1971 when President Nixon temporarily suspended the convertibility of the dollar into gold. Prior to 1971, as determined by the Bretton Woods International Monetary System, which was agreed to in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire in July 1944, a foreign bank could exchange $35 with the U.S. Treasury for 1 troy ounce of gold. After the U.S. reneged on the established exchange rate, when foreign banks handed the U.S. Treasury $35, they received $35 in exchange. In both instances, the U.S. government didn't overtly default on the debt. Instead, it changed the fundamentals, the terms and conditions of the dollar. By all honest accounts, these are defaults. What dirty trick does Uncle Sam have up his dirty sleeve this time? One possible swindle is the issuance of a digital dollar. A Fed or government-issued central bank digital currency, CBDC, which is traceable and programmable. When it is introduced, your account will be credited 1 for 1, as in 1 Federal Reserve note for 1 digital dollar. But what you'll be able to buy in return with your digital dollars will be far less. You'll see the digital dollar roll out and will provide elaborate cover. Make no mistake, this is a default, and it's coming much sooner than you think. This makes the most sense in how they're trying to switch us to digital, how they've got a lot of people on board with digital, even people close to me, that think the digital is the way to go. If it is attached to the central banks, it is definitely not the way to go. Central banks, the Fed Reserve System, have got to go. We don't create a digital system first and then worry about switching it. No. If we're going to get onto some other system, it better not be backed by the Fed. It better not be a central bank. It better not be a private institution. It better be something that's an asset, something that's worth something. If it's based on that, then there's probably a chance it can work. Okay? But we've got to be really mindful of that. Really mindful of what they're trying to do to us. Now, the stock market's doing fantastic, which, again, in my opinion, is awesome. It's awesome because it could be worse. And this is a chance to get some of those gains back that they keep taking from you. Badly. Price of gold. Price of gold's up a little bit right now. Not bad, though. Only $250. Not bad at all. That's why I like my boys and girls over at DRSLikesGold.com. DRSLikesGold.com. Give yourself a chance to take all that friggin' 401k money you got, the IRA money you got,